Diggory kept his mouth very tight shut. He had been growing more and more uncomfortable. He hoped that, whatever happened, he wouldn't blub or do anything ridiculous. "Son of Adam," said Aslan, "are you ready to undo the wrong that you've done to my sweet country of Narnia on the very day of its birth?" "Well, I don't see what I can do," said Diggory. "You see, the Queen ran away and—" "I asked, are you ready?" said the lion. "Yes," said Diggory. He had for a second some wild idea of saying, "I'll try to help you if you promise to help my mother." But he realised in time that the lion was not at all the sort of person one could try and make bargains with. But when he'd said yes, he thought of his mother, and he thought of the great hopes he'd had and how they were all dying away, and a lump came to his throat and tears to his eyes, and he blurted out, "But please, can't you give me something that will cure Mother?" Up till then, he'd been looking at the lion's great feet and the huge claws on them. Now, in his despair, he looked up at its face. What he saw surprised him as much as anything in his whole life. For the tawny face was bent down near his own, and, wonder of wonders, great shining tears stood in the lion's eyes. They were such big, bright tears compared with Diggory's own that for a moment he felt that the lion must be really sorrier about his mother than he was himself. My son," said Aslan, "I know grief is great. Only you and I in this land know that yet. Let us be good to one another. But I have to think of hundreds of years in the life of Narnia. The witch whom you have brought into this world will come back to Narnia again. But it need not be yet. It is my wish to plant in Narnia a tree that she will not dare to approach, and that tree will protect Narnia from her for many years. So this land shall have a long, bright morning before any clouds come over the sun. You must get me the seed from which that tree is to grow." "Yes, sir," said Diggory. He didn't know how it was to be done, but he felt quite sure now that he would be able to do it. The lion drew a deep breath, stooped its head even lower, and gave him a lion's kiss. And at once Diggory felt that new strength and courage had gone into him. "Dear son," said Aslan, "I will tell you what you must do. Turn and look to the west. Tell me, what do you see?" "I see terribly big mountains, Aslan," said Diggory, "and I see this river coming down cliffs in a waterfall, and beyond the cliff there are high green hills with forests, and beyond that there are higher ranges that look almost black, and then far away there are big snowy mountains all heaped up together, like pictures of the Alps, and behind those there's nothing but the sky." "You see well," said the lion. "Now the land of Narnia ends where the waterfall comes down, and once you've reached the top of the cliffs you will be out of Narnia and into the western wild. You must journey through those mountains till you find a green valley with a blue lake in it, walled round by mountains of ice. At the end of the lake there is a steep green hill. On the top of that hill there is a garden. In the centre of the garden is a tree. Pluck an apple from that tree and bring it back to me." "Yes, sir," said Diggory again. He hadn't the least idea of how he used to climb the cliff and find his way among all the mountains, but he didn't like to say that for fear it would sound like making excuses. But he did say, "I hope, Aslan, you're not in a hurry. I shan't be able to get there and back very quickly." "Little son of Adam, you shall have help," said Aslan. He then turned to the horse who'd been standing quietly beside them all this time, swishing its tail to keep the flies off, and listening with its head on one side, as if the conversation were a little difficult to understand. "My dear," said Aslan to the horse, "would you like to be a winged horse?" You should have seen how the horse shook its mane, and how its nostrils widened, and the little tap it gave the ground with one back hoof. Clearly, it would very much like to be a winged horse, but it only said, "If you wish, Aslan, if you really mean. I don't know why it should be me. I'm not a very clever horse." "Be winged. Be the father of all flying horses," roared Aslan in a voice that shook the ground. "Your name is Fledge." The horse shied, just as it might have shied in the old miserable days when it pulled a hansom. Then it roared. It strained its neck back to as if there were a fly biting its shoulders and it wanted to scratch them. And then, just as the beasts had burst out of the earth, there burst out from the shoulders of Fledge wings that grew and grew, larger than eagles, larger than swans, larger than angels' wings in church windows. The feathers shone chestnut-coloured and copper-coloured. He gave a great sweep with them and leapt into the air. 20 feet above Aslan and Diggory, he snorted and neighed and curvetted, and then, after circling once round, he dropped to the earth, all 4 hooves together, looking awkward and surprised, but extremely pleased. "Is it good, Fledge?" said Aslan. "It is very good," Aslan said Fledge. "Will you carry the little son of Adam on your back to the mountain valley I spoke of?" "What, now, at once?" said Strawberry, or Fledge as we must now call him. "Hurrah, come on, little one. I've had little things on you on my back before, long, long ago, when there were green fields and sugar." "What are the 2 daughters of Eve whispering about?" said Aslan, turning very suddenly on Polly and the cabbie's wife, who had in fact been making friends. "If you please, sir," said Queen Helen, for that's what Nelly the cabman's wife now was, "I think the little girl would love to go too, if it weren't no trouble." "What does Fledge say about that?" asked the lion. "Oh, I don't mind too, not when they're little ones," said Fledge. "But I hope the elephant doesn't want to come as well." The elephant had no such wish, and the new king of Narnia helped both children up. That is, he gave Diggory a rough heave and set Polly as gently and daintily on the horse's back as if she were made of china, and might break. There they are. Strawberry, Fledge, I should say. There, this is a rum go. "Do not fly too high," said Aslan. "Do not try to go over the tops of the great ice mountains. Look for the valleys, the green places, and fly through them. There will always be a way through. And now, be gone with my blessing." "Oh, Fledge," said Diggory, leaning forward to pat the horse's glossy neck. "This is fun. Hold on to me tight, Polly." And the next moment the country dropped away beneath them and whirled round as Fledge, like a huge pigeon, circled once or twice before setting off on his long westward flight. Looking down, Polly could hardly see the king and the queen, and even Aslan himself was only a bright yellow spot on the green grass. Soon the wind was in their faces, and Fledge's wings settled down to a steady beat.